Hey guys, Joe Perea here at the GA Fab Lab in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just wanted to tell you about the mod we're going to do today. We are going to narrow an SCX10 axle with XR steering on it. We're going to narrow it enough to get it under a C1 rig. So here's the rig that we're going to be working on today. A couple assumptions I'm going to make is A, that you know what an XR steering mod is. And if you don't, then just Google it or go to rccrawler.com and search it there. But basically it's this. You do a little hacking on your axle case and you put beef tubes in there and you put Wraith/XR steering. So beyond that, let's go ahead and get started. Scalar Hacks, Episode 2, XR Steering. Okay guys, so here are my C1 and C2 rigs. This is my C2 rig, deadbolt. It's got XR steering on it, and you will see later why that's so critical. Just the functionality and being able to clock the axles, clock the C-hubs, and the actual steering radius is awesome. Now, herein lies the problem. Here's my C1 vehicle, and as part of the C1 rules, this tire has to be, under this wheel well, a certain, percentage. So the problem is I cannot put the XR width steering onto the C1 vehicle. So what I would like to do is actually figure out a form of modification for this axle and this steering to go under this rig. And so why is that important? Well, in the C1 world, it seems like we sacrifice some functionality for looks, and we sacrifice some performance for looks. And so, I don't want to do that, man. I want the rig to perform as well as it looks. So let's see what we can do about taking some measurements and seeing what we got to do in order to get this axle to fit under this rig. Okay guys, so the way I like to do these tests is I've got my horizontal line and I got my vertical line. I put the back rear tire on the line, and what I do is go full lock left, and we're going to turn the vehicle, and as soon as that right front hits the line, that's my mark. So we'll go ahead and mark that. And that is the SCX10 with high steer knuckles, full lock, end to end, most steering I can get out of it. Okay, so here we are with my deadbolt, which has the XR steering mod up front. Same scenario, I've got the right rear on the tape and on the horizontal line. So I'm going to go full lock. And you can see that that's quite a bit better steering radius. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that and measure it. Okay guys, here's what we got here. So here's our starting point. You can see here the mark on the left is where the SCX10 with XR steering mod was able to make the turn. That's at about 46.5 inches. You can see where the SCX with VVDs and high steer knuckles was at about 57.5. So that's about an 11-inch differential, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to make a gate or turn the vehicle around, it could save you a multitude of reverses. So we're going to show you how to narrow your axle to fit under a C1 with XR steering. So let's get on it. Alright guys, so here's your standard SCX axle with XR/Wraith knuckles, C-hubs, and of course the XR mod that you would do on there. Just take a measurement of that, and I'm just doing from the inside of the hex to the inside of the hex here. And where I'm coming up with is basically right at, let's call that, for simplicity, 7 3/8 inches. Now we go over to the C1 rig with the high steer. Squeeze that in a little bit. And let's take this measurement. And we are right about maybe 7 1/16. So we'll just call it 7 to make it easy. So really what we're looking at is narrowing an axle like this about 3/8 of an inch. So as a fabricator, any fabricator, you want to split the difference, which means 3/16 on each side, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the way the functionality and the mechanics and engineering of this axle are, that is a kind of a daunting task to narrow this thing 3/16 of an inch on each side. So what I'm going to be doing is developing a method to do that. Hopefully not having to fabricate too many parts. It may be just cutting and clearancing what's there. So we'll get started. Okay guys, so I think I figured out how I'm going to complete the narrowing of this axle. So here's, standard SCX10 axle. It had the XR mod on it at one point. These are some Creation Fab Delrin tubes that were in here. So I think instead of risking using some nice aluminum tubes and a TKO axle, what I'm going to do is actually just use an SCX axle. So ideally what I wanted to do was shorten the axle by 3/16 in. I'm sorry, shorten the case by 3/16 in and bring the whole splined hub in and just shorten the axle shaft by 3/16. But what happens is we'll lose this link mount, and unfortunately we got to have that. So what I'm going to actually end up doing is shortening the splined area by 3/16 inch. So I'm going to take 3/16 off of this, and then here's your standard C-hub. What I'm also going to do is take 3/16 off this end, and so what's going to happen, it's going to bring the whole C-hub in about 3/16 of an inch. From there, what I'll need to do is go ahead and drill a new set screw on each side, and I'll probably try to figure out a way to line up these brass inserts to coordinate with that. So I think that's actually my whole solution there. I'm not sure. We're going to lose a little bit of meat in terms of how this C-hub fits onto the spline hub, but I think we'll be okay. And it's C1. We're not getting ridiculous in terms of like comping. So in terms of durability, I think it'll still be okay. The other thing we're going to obviously need to do is here's our universal joint. So you can see I've already worked this one a little bit to get more steering out of it. So we're going to actually need to bring this end in about 3/16 of an inch, because it will be sitting into the axle housing a little bit further now. So that'll take a little bit of trial and error, but I should be able to get that to fit. So we go ahead and get this cut, and we'll see how it lines up. Alright guys, here we are back. So I think I've done most of the fabrication that I need to do for this mod. It actually wasn't bad at all. I just took the tube here and put it in a drill and spun it as I was cutting it with a Dremel. One of these. Very simple. This I actually just used a cut-off wheel, and I cut right on the inside of where the existing set screws went. So anyway, this is our result right here. Doesn't look too bad. What I'm gonna have to do is locate a set screw here, and then probably locate another one back here. And then I think beyond that, really all I need to do is shorten the axle shaft a little bit to accommodate for that 3/16 inch. One thing to note, you do sacrifice a couple things. First of all, usually you have a bearing here in the end. That's no longer going to be there. And some people do put it, or actually I guess you don't put a bearing in there, but you will lose that end bearing. So unfortunately with these tubes, the shaft stays pretty centered in there anyway, and then of course you got the bearing in the knuckle itself to kind of keep it in line. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get the other side done, and then put this thing together and take some measurements and see how close I was. Go from there. Thanks. Okay guys, so here's where I'm at. I've got the holes drilled, my new set screws in the C-hubs. The spline tubes have been shortened. Just want to give you this quick little tip. So these things aren't grabbing the splined area as well anymore because we lost a lot of that in the modification. So this axle is actually turning pretty easily within those. So the way to keep those C-hubs even is to put them on some kind of a stand where you got, or a jig, if you will, where everything's level. So, this area is going to be the same level as this area. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and drill in through the Delrin here and go ahead and tap it and get it secured on there. Take a look, assemble it, and measure it up. Hey guys, welcome back. So I just wanted to quickly take you through what we've done so far. Went ahead and got the screws, this new set screws, tapped into the Delrin, both sides, here and here. Got these Zero Ackerman steering arms put on there, and these are great for when you're at full lock. What happens is both of the angles of the tires are in line versus some of the other arms that you use out there on the market. You might have one tire that's turned more than the other, and so that's a deficiency in your steering. So these Zero Ackerman arms help a lot. These are actually RC Bros, but they're available from Vanquish as well, I believe. So anywho, had to make a new steering link too. You'll probably need to make one when you do this mod because you're shortening everything, so keep that in mind. But in terms of size, coming in and measuring this thing and transferring it down onto the ruler, I am right at 7 inches, man. So that's perfect. So believe it or not, I actually got it on the first try. So pretty proud of that. So anyway, the other thing, just FYI, as a comper, I really like my my caster to be relatively positive. That means that the knuckle is rotated back. So you're going to need to set all this up, and you might even need to do it with the axle on the vehicle and get the right caster for your liking prior to putting in these set screws and whatnot. So I like mine laid way back. I like those tires kind of flopping over as they go up over things. It also helps you hold an edge when you're trying to turn around on an incline as well. So that's where we're at. Let me go ahead and get this all put together. I'm going to get it under the rig. Next thing I'm going to do is take these unis, work the universal joint a little bit to get some better steering, and then find the correct length to cut this off and work the end to fit into the locker. So those are my next two steps. I'll get this all assembled, get it under the rig, and then we'll go take some measurements again. Alright guys, so we got this all installed. A little bit narrower tire now, but as you can see, that that's going to fit under the wheel well pretty nicely on both sides. So I think I'll be well within the C1 specification for that. A little bit narrower tire, like I said. Got the linkage all hooked up. I elected to go to the driver's side on this particular setup. There's something kind of funky about how that works, which side you have your servo arm and the geometry between the servo arm and the steering arm. And I find that if it's a little bit longer, you tend to overcome some of that geometry limitation. So that's where I've got it. And I could tell already this thing is going to turn on a dime. So let's go put the battery in and see how it does. Okay guys, here we go. So we got the XR mod with the narrowed axle. We've got our normal starting point there. That's our deadbolt with XR steering on the right, and that's our original turning radius on the left. So let's see how we do. Full lock left, And look at that. Let's measure it up and mark it. Alright guys, so here's our final results. That's our starting point. On the far right, we have our original SCX high steer axle with VVDs, 57.5. There's our XR mod width with XR steering and universals. We're at 46.5. And here's our narrowed axle with universals and XR steering, and we're just right around 43 inches. So that's not bad. I'll do the calculation to determine the percentage, but overall I gotta say that's a pretty good improvement. So there we go. Proof is in the pudding. Okay guys, I just wanted to do a quick closeout to the video. I just want to say I'm real happy with the outcome of this steering modification. As you can see, the truck looks pretty good. Tires are nice and tight under there. Got a great steering radius. Strong steering too. That XR aluminum is very strong. I did the calculation. We've got about a 25% improvement in our steering radius, which is freaking awesome. Now, I will tell you, I did cheat a little bit. I use high-tech servos, and if you use high-tech servos, you need to get yourself one of these little guys. This is an HPP21, and what this allows you to do is set the resolution of the servo arm so you can actually get a little more throw and up to 180 degrees of the servo arm. So that wouldn't have helped me with the original steering setup though, because those are physical limitations. So once I got the XR steering on here, I tuned it to as far as it would go without this modification, without the programming of the servo, and I had a little bit more I could get out of it. So that's when I went to this and programmed that servo to normal resolution and was able to get a few more degrees. So some of you are probably asking yourselves, well, why is this one turning a little bit better than the deadbolt was? Well, my answer is I believe that the narrowed axle will actually help you, because you have a smaller amount that you're trying to turn, and you're doing it a little bit faster because of, and 3/8 of an inch over that arc will probably accumulate to a couple inches, and so that's where we're getting our few extra inches. And then I did use this on my deadbolt, but in looking at my deadbolt, I might go back and program it because I think I have a couple more degrees I could get out of it. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Bronco's looking good. It's ready. It's comp ready at this point. I just did a patina video too for the wheels. If you want to go back and look at the Scalar Hack episode 1, you can see on how to do this mod, which is pretty cool, man. It really sets off the look of the Bronco, man. Thing just looks like it's kind of been through hell and back, even though it's brand new. So anyway, thanks guys. Appreciate it from GA Fabrication here in Albuquerque. Have a nice day.